Hey y'all, and welcome to my TBR takedown for May. I think we're about a week into the month, solidly a week into the month. I've not done an update, so I have several books to talk about, and I have bought a book this month. I think I bought a book May 1st, to be honest with you. So we started technically with 316. I bought one that brought me up to 317. So the first book I did finish this month was Masters of Death by Olivie Blake. This is my first Olivie Blake. I really would like to read Girl Dinner, I think. And I bought this when we were in St. Augustine, so it's a recent purchase. This is a book that I find very hard to describe because I don't feel that the back description really is a good indicator of what you're getting into in this book. It is, in my opinion, a character-driven book masquerading as a plot-driven book. Like, there is some plot, but it's very soft and it's still very character-driven to me. I can't get past that. So it's difficult to describe. I did like the characters. I did like the variety of characters that we got. They were, I think, all pretty interesting and entertaining in their own ways. So I did enjoy it. I think I gave it 3.75 stars because I just couldn't really put my finger on what this book was, but I will say I just keep thinking about it constantly. My thought was it was a vampire real estate agent and she needed help getting a ghost out of the house. That is like this much of it. And I feel that the book is more about Fox Demora than anyone, not so much about Vi, who is that vampire real estate agent. I don't want to say I felt misled by the back description, but it just, I don't think it's a match at all. But again, I did enjoy it overall. The ending was somewhat predictable, but still satisfying, if that makes sense. And like I said, the characters are fun to read. Like I just had a good time reading it. I have also finished Anne of Green Gables. This was on my spring TBR, and I'm not doing so great on my spring TBR, so I need to be a little more mindful of that. But I absolutely loved this book. I have been trying to read things a little slower and take, like several days to read books instead of a day and a half or 2 days and just like boom, 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 finishing books really quickly. So I did try and take my time with this. I found Anne to be so singular and endearing in her personality. She could not stop talking. I find that very relatable. The things she said and just having an interest in like everything. I felt like she was so relatable as a little girl, and I didn't realize that we were gonna grow up with her a little bit. I thought she would stay 11, 12, maybe 13, but I think we see her through to 16, and I just loved it. I just loved it. Everybody is confronted with these challenges, and they seem to just make the right decision, the kindest, like softest decision in most instances. And I loved her relationship with Matthew. That was really sweet and gentle, but I also loved her relationship with Marilla. I can't say enough good things about it, and I just want to read all of the rest of them now. So I have a couple on hold from the library just to see what I can get, and maybe try not to buy them all immediately, but I'm really looking forward to that. The ending was a little bit heartbreaking for me. I did not expect that, so that's another reason I'm really looking forward to the rest of them. I gave this, I think, 5 stars. Yeah, I gave it 5 stars. I had the best time. I had the best time. Also, Matthew starting every sentence with, well now. I knew it as soon as it was his turn to talk in a conversation that the first words out of his mouth would be well now. Sometimes it was just well, but 95% of the time, I feel like he started every sentence with, well now, and it was just so sweet. I loved it. There's also a line where Anne says to Marilla, but have you ever noticed that the encouraging thing about me, Marilla, I never make the same mistake twice. And she says in response, I don't know as that's much benefit when you're always making new ones, which is so true. I mean, Anne, if there was a mistake to be made, Anne could make it. Again, very endearing, very sweet, warm, charming. The setting, perfection, the friendships, the family that they built, I loved it. And finally, I finished this yesterday. Definitely not as creepy as some of her other horror books, but I think this had an average rating of below 4 stars. I don't get it. I loved it. This is The Twisted Ones by Kingfisher. It is one of, I think, a few of hers that I still had on her backlist to read, and I loved it. I had a great time. It was creepy and unsettling and less horror, scary, jump out of your skin. Like, this is not going to give you the heebie-jeebies like the Hollow Places, but it was unsettling, in my opinion. There's a lot of similarities in the themes and characters in her horror books of this variety, in my opinion, especially the modern day horror books. There's always a problem with the phone, either technology or software, hardware. There's no service, you know, things like that. There's always some kind of issue with the phone. She's usually running from something or on the other side of a bad breakup. Our female main character, she is usually quite relatable and does something freelance. So she doesn't have a regular 9-to-5, and that's what's allowed her to come into this situation. So here Mouse is tasked with cleaning out her deceased grandmother's like hoarder home, and it's a real mess. She starts seeing creepy things in the woods. Her dog is reacting to these creepy things in the woods, and you know, stuff starts to happen. She crosses over into a different realm. She has some really cool supporting characters. Foxy was my absolute favorite, but I also like the goth coffee girl. She was fun too. She had some really good one-liners, and overall I just really enjoyed it. I don't know why this would be rated lower. I did see some people say that it was slow. I didn't feel that way. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. I think I gave it 4.25 stars just because it wasn't as creepy as I thought it would be. That little poem or song or rhyme, whatever, that's kind of creepy. The way it would just come into her mind out of nowhere in the middle of some other thought was unsettling. But yeah, otherwise, it's hard to say, but it was a really fun horror. I had a good time. I really do. I just love her characters. I think it's worth reading if you want to just be a little bit creeped out, but also have like a lot of laughs too. She's really just sensational at that. I have been very lucky to be approved for an early copy of Bad Boy Era as an e-arc, and that's by Amy Daws. It is the final book in the Mountain Men Matchmaker series, and it is Everly's book, and I'm very excited. I did see in one of her stories, though, Amy says that you should really read her dad's story first, which is last on the list, and that is the final book in the Wait With Me series, and I have not read this series, and look how tiny this book is. It's under 300 pages. So in my crazy brain, I thought, how about I just read the whole series? The only problem is I have books 1, 2, and 5. Books 3 and 4 have yet to be re-released with these covers, so obviously I can't physically read those. Full transparency, I'm probably going to listen to them on Audible, because when she had a big sale on Audible like several months ago, I think, and I just went ahead and bought, I think, her full catalog. So that's likely what I'll do with those, but I have started this. It is so tiny. It is such a quick read. I don't love it. It's fine, but I'm not loving it, and I do think this might be the lowest rated of the series, which I'm fine with. I'm kind of used to that first book being a little, and then the series getting better as it goes. I think I can read through the series somewhat quickly, maybe over the course of a couple weeks. I've also been reading Sharkpedia. I'm not super far. I've been reading a few sections at a time in the evening before bed. It's broken up into sections like this, and there are images in it. I also got this when we were in St. Augustine. So there's not really chapters, but you can see it's like broken into sections. I believe I'm correct in saying that the author set up these sections alphabetically. So we go A through, I want to say W. I think, yeah, Why Sharks Count. That's the last section. So I have been enjoying it. However, I thought this would be more anecdotal type stories. It is very dense in the scientific language. So I have been Googling a lot of terms. Yeah, it's just been an interesting journey. So it has been a little scientifically dense, but very enjoyable still. I just didn't expect it to be such a thinker, to be honest with you, but I am enjoying it. Finishing the Twisted Ones has me at 314 books. Not too bad of a start, I think. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to May and seeing what kind of progress we can make. Again, just want to keep steadily going down. I will catch you in the next one. Bye. Hey y'all, welcome to update number 2. It has been a week in this house. Okay, a week at home, a week at work. It has been a rough one, but I have made solid progress. The first book I have finished since my last check-in is Wait With Me. I did not love this. I think I said that before. I gave this 3 stars. Let's jump it off right there. Romance Raider Kate has writer's block, and she takes her car for service, and while she's in this waiting center, like I think they call it the client or customer care center, she finds inspiration and that she's able to write. So then over the next, I want to say it's like 3 weeks solid, she starts writing there before she's caught by Miles, who works there, and he's like not going to rat her out. So she just keeps working. They become friendly, but he's not looking for anything serious, so they can't really pursue like a dating relationship, but they have a friends with benefits type thing. And Kate says she's going to use this as research for her books. It obviously turns into something more serious. My problem with this, one, I didn't like either of the main characters, which is weird because we do see them again in book 2, and I really liked them. Like they were so much better in that one than this one. I felt like they were both very immature. I felt like there was not enough yearning. We went from we're just friends who kind of flirt with each other, but neither of us can be in a relationship with each other, to like full on Spice Town very quickly. And there was a lot of it in such a small book. So I just didn't get on with that part of it. I did not particularly like either of them. It's really as simple as that. Very immature, very much tomfoolery. And also, I think there's a point where she gets on his motorcycle in flip-flops. That pissed me off. And there's one point where he gives her his helmet to wear on the motorcycle. Helmets come in sizes. He's like a very large man. We're told that many times. Like, we know he's large. If I put on my husband's helmet, I would be like a bauble. It would go flying off. It would not offer protection. Stuff like that just irks me a little bit. The flip-flops more than the helmet almost, because at least the helmet we were trying. The flip-flops, it really bugged me. So this book did not feel like the Amy I know. It honestly doesn't even feel like the Amy that we get in this book, which this was very good. I think I said everything I wanted to about this one. It was fine. I'll keep it because it goes with the series, but I would not read it again. Also, it kind of makes me not like Dean for a hot minute, and Dean is going to be in book 4. I need to like him. So that was, I think, my only other note. On to next in line. This features Miles' sister, Megan Maggie Meg. Everybody calls her something different. We don't know why. And his best friend, Sam, who's the nephew of the owner of the tire depot, and then he's like next in line. Well, he's next in line for ownership of the tire depot. Anyway, they meet because Maggie's boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, unceremoniously breaks up with her on Christmas morning. She does not tell her family. She hides it. She suffers in silence, but they think she's going to visit him on the East Coast, and she's not. And she doesn't have anywhere to go, and she doesn't want to tell anybody, so she's kind of hiding out and trying to do adventurous things like ice fishing. She runs into Sam. They ice fish together. They have a connection. Nothing like happens. They share a kiss, and he's really taken with her. She's really taken with him, but they separate and like go off their own ways. Not sure if they're going to see each other again. Flash forward to Maggie arriving at her brother Miles' house, where she's going to be staying with him and Kate for a little while, and they go out for a night, and boom, there's Sam. They both act like they don't know each other because they don't want to rock the boat. And I liked that. I liked that little bit of forbiddenness. There is a little bit of an age gap, and I really liked them together. They share a lot of adventures. He teaches her a lot of things. She teaches him some things. Like, they grow together into the relationship, and I really enjoyed that. There's, like I said, a little bit of that forbidden element. The brother's best friend. I'm kind of realizing I like that a little bit. And overall, I think I gave this 4.5 stars. It was worlds better than Wait With Me, and just back to like the Amy I know. And finally, this afternoon, I finished One Moment Please, and that is book 3. I'm going to put it here because I don't have a physical copy. It doesn't come out until, I think, June in this newer format. And it features Lindsay, who is Kate's best friend from book 1, and Dr. Josh. Lindsay finds that she can only work on her dissertation in the hospital cafeteria after taking her mother for a routine procedure and having to spend time waiting in the cafeteria. So much like her friend Kate, she decides to go there and do her work there. Well, it catches the attention of Dr. Josh. He's like, why is this weird woman here? But also he's very captivated by her. The problem is Josh has the worst attitude, and he's such a freaking grouch, so he doesn't really know how to talk to people. Anyway, it's like not a great encounter, right? Well, going out to celebrate her finishing her paper, she runs into the good doctor who happens to be friends with the one, the only, Max Fletcher. Max Fletcher does business with friend Dean, who has taken Lindsay out to celebrate. So we're coming full circle. All of the people are starting to be connected to one another in all these different ways, and I'm living for it. I do love that part of it. Lindsay gets a little drunk, and Dr. Josh is being, she calls him Dr. Dick, because he's Dr. Richardson. Okay, so like it's kind of a thing. They end up sharing an Uber, but it lands at his house first, right? And they share an evening together. So Lindsay gets pregnant. She winds up back in the ER about 3 months after this encounter. She winds up back in the ER with like anaphylaxis. She's had an allergic reaction to shellfish. She stabbed herself in the hand with like a steak knife, and she's been stood up for her Tinder date. While she was running to the bathroom to try and administer her EpiPen for the shellfish allergy, she like twists her ankle. She's a mess. They run some tests. Dr. Dick is her doctor in the ER, and that's when he realizes that she's pregnant, and he's mad because she didn't tell him, but she didn't know either. Guys, it's amazing. It was great. I loved it. I had a great time. I have not reviewed it yet, but I think I would give this one 4.75 stars. It made me cry. Very emotional. Again, a lot of growth from the characters. We love to see it. One Moment Please puts me down to 311. I'm going to leave it there, and I will see you for my next check-in, hopefully very soon. Hopefully finishing out the Wait With Me series and moving into something different. I'm going to need a big break from rom-coms when I'm done with these. Okay, that's all for now. Bye. Hey y'all, update number 3 is brought to you by very poor lighting. It is a little bit late. And I just want to get these 2 books off my chest before I forget any of the finer details. I did finish Take a Number by Amy Daws. That's book 4 in the Wait With Me series. And I have to be really honest, I liked it. It was good. I had to take a break. I had to take a break from the rom-coms. I know I have 1 book left to go. And then I have the arc for Bad Boy Era, which is Everly's story. I had to take a break. I want to say overwhelmed, but I don't think that's the right word. It's too much rom-com. I needed something to break it up. So in this one, we have Dean. He is friends with Kate and Lindsay, who have had their own books. And then we have bakery owner Nora. Nora is connected to Dean because he's a silent investor in her bakery. She's franchising or planning to franchise, and she's opening an additional bakery. Her franchise manager is going to be Max. So we see Max a lot more in this one. Which is great because he's going to be the next book. And our first Fletcher brother. I'll be honest, Dean was someone I had not liked very much throughout the series. I didn't dislike him, but I was really wondering how I was going to root for him as the male main character. He did shine through. He did grow on me through this. He has a lot of demons. There were so many moments where I was screaming to him through my phone, like, stop being so mean. Why are you saying such mean things? But we did get some explanations there. While I enjoyed the fake dating, I just felt like this one was a little more superficial than the past 2, which I've really enjoyed. So I gave this one 4 stars. Overall, I thought it was good. It's a good addition to the series, and it kind of ties up that friend group of like Kate, Lindsay, Dean. One other minor hang-up was Nora's relationship with her mom. I feel like they could have sorted things out so much sooner. I didn't feel like there needed to be so much animosity there. It just wasn't necessary, and I felt like they could have both been better off if they had come to these conclusions sooner. So like that was one hang up, but overall, like I said, I enjoyed it pretty well. The other book, I have finally finished Dinosaurs at the Dinner Party. I was so excited to read this. I have my notes on the back, so I'm just gonna grab them. I was so excited to start this. It has pictures. It's like a science nonfiction. We have all these pictures of old dudes, artwork. My favorite, which I did not realize, is this one. I did not realize. So my favorite character of this had to be Mary Anning. And she was like a very poor woman. She spent her whole life basically in poverty. But she was one of the first fossil hunters in England, and collectors paid her for the fossils she found, but she was never really recognized for them. So she, like I said, lived most of her life in poverty, in abject poverty, even when she would have these big wins, or she would, you know, sell something off that seemed like a good little nest egg, something would happen. And in one of these situations, she lost her nest egg. She lost her kind of life savings to a con man. And so she had this geologist friend who made that artwork. I'm just going to show it again because I love it. Who made this piece of art and was selling it to help collect money to like recoup her losses. I loved that because she really never got the recognition that she deserved while she was alive or even thereafter. This is a very male-dominated field, so that was like a big takeaway for me is Mary Anning. Really enjoyed her. I also loved in the earlier parts of this book learning about William Buckland and his very eccentric collecting and honestly just eccentric personality traits, all the animals he had. He had like hyenas walking around or jackals, and they would eat his guinea pigs. And there was just like, it just sounded like an absolute madhouse, but something that really happened. I love it. I did enjoy setting us up for the time period. We're mostly in the Victorian era here. Again, women did not have a lot of agency, especially in scientific fields, and poor women even worse, and poor men as well. Like it really was a time for the elites and scientists, and the scientists were mostly of the elite class if they had the money and resources for schooling. So there was a lot of people involved who never got the recognition they deserved. And I found that part kind of heartbreaking. There's a lot of merging of science and religion during the Victorian period. I didn't know that there was such a thing as the Victorian nature frenzy, which is mentioned in this book. So there are a lot of people very interested in nature and the natural world. And then of course, when fossils were starting to be discovered and people were starting to realize what they really were, like people had discovered fossils many years ago, but they didn't realize the significance or the age behind them. As this was all coming about, there was a huge popularity for it. I found that the chapters, the ending, at least of the chapters, were so compelling that it just kept you wanting to read. So I expected to finish this in 3, 4, 5 days. I like to take my time, especially with nonfiction, to make sure that everything really sinks in because it's not a plot-driven book. And I actually kind of flew through it. So I did really enjoy it. However, I feel something was missing. I thought Owens and Mantle would have more. I thought we would see more of that interaction. They had what felt to me like a very Hamilton-Burr type rivalry, with Owens definitely being the Alexander Hamilton and Mantle being the Burr character. But they're just, it felt like it was just sort of touched on. It also felt like Owens is the one who coined the term dinosaurs. I think it was Dinosaurid, which translates to terrible lizard. And something that I thought was interesting is that the meaning then of terrible was more like formidable and fearsome instead of how we use it now, which is something just really unfortunate and bad. So there were interesting little caveats like that, but something was missing. I thought there was going to be more interaction between all of these people, that we were going to see how all of these things really came together, but it was all quite separate. And it was, God, I hate to say it this way, it was less interesting than I wanted it to be or than I thought it would be. I think, and it could just be my interpretation of the blurb, the description, you know, even on the front it says how an eccentric group of Victorians discovered prehistoric creatures and accidentally upended the world. That's even according to the book's own information, that's not technically true. A lot of the people who discovered these fossils were not the scientists. So I think I had a much different idea of what it was going to be in my head. This is a historical, nature-esque nonfiction. It does seem to meander. There are parts of this where I was fascinated. I was drawn in, especially like Mary Anning and the William Buckland stuff. These people who were so interested, so committed to it. Even Mary Anning just for the financial portion of it, but she was also an artist. Like you could feel these people's passions and desire for knowledge. And then in other parts, it just kind of felt like a bunch of jerks making decisions for everyone. And I know that's a reality of the time, but there were just parts of it that really missed for me. I think overall, if you're interested in dinosaurs and how they came into our more popular knowledge, then this is a very interesting book. It ends on quite a sad note. I mean, obviously all of these people have long since passed, but I think also a lot of them had just sort of tragic existences. And again, another aspect and part of the nature of that time is, you know, one illness or being diagnosed with certain types of cancer was an absolute death sentence, where today there are treatments and, you know, more options. Overall, I found it interesting. I don't like rating nonfiction books, but I did give this a 3.75 just because it missed the mark for me. It wasn't a bad book. I'll definitely keep it. I think I would like to revisit parts of it, but there's just something missing, and I wish that I could say more about what was missing. But I think if I had to put a fine point on it, I would say that some parts felt really drawn out and really detailed, and then other things were just skimmed over. Again, endlessly interesting to have been around in this time and have these discoveries being made and truly having your world upended, especially in a time that was filled with very devout people. So this mix of religion and science, it is good, and I would recommend it. I think I'm still looking for that nonfiction itch to be scratched, and so I will keep hunting. Finishing Dinosaurs puts me at 309. I am reading something else right now. That is Aftertaste. So far, I'm very much liking it. I'm also still reading Sharkpedia. It's by the bed. I've been cross-stitching my little heart out, so I've not been doing a ton of bedtime reading. I've been doing a lot of bedtime stitching. 309 is the number for now, and I will see you for the next check-in. Gosh, it's gotten really quite dark. Bye. Hello, it is update number 4, and this is like a really big one. So I'm trying not to be too hard on myself, but like, let's jump in with something that arrived today, which is A Parade of Horribles by Matt Dinneman. This was already on my list because it was a known pre-order. I think I added it when I pre-ordered back in, that's Renault, sorry. When I pre-ordered back in April, and I did get a signed copy. Can you see it? This is my first signed Carl book. I do have the Shivered Sky. That doesn't sound right. That is right. The Shivered Sky. That is like a books 1 through 3 of his, like a series. And I do have that signed from Eagle Eye when he was there. I missed him. Anyway, this is my first signed Carl, and I'm so happy. It is an absolute brick of a book. You could mortally wound your enemy with it, and it is 688 pages. I swear it feels bigger than that. No, it is smaller than This Inevitable Ruin and The Eye of the Bedlam Bride. That, I think, is the biggest one. So anyway, here she is. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I don't know when I'm going to be able to start it, but I am so excited to have it. Now, what have I finished? I finished an amazing book, a surprise, a shocker, an absolute delight, a cry fest, Aftertaste. This was recommended to me by the bookseller in No Shelf Control in St. Augustine. I don't remember her name. I have DM'd her and been like, hi, thank you for this. I love the detail on the cover. This is like raised and it's salt. I didn't realize that when I bought it. We have the smoke. So this is about Konstantin Duhovny. He is a Ukrainian man living in New York. His parents immigrated from Ukraine with him when he was a young child. His father dies when he is very young. And then Konstantin is haunted, and he's haunted by food. He's haunted by flavors, dishes, tastes, and that's how he perceives ghosts. So he kind of discovers this knack for bringing back the dead when he's interacting with someone who has lost a person. They are struggling with very strong memories, feelings, grief of the person who's passed. He will get a taste of a dish, a drink, a Reese's peanut butter cup, and he will know how to make the dish. Not the Reese's peanut butter cup. You could go to a vending machine for that. But he knows how to make the drink. He knows exactly what ingredients to put in it and how to make it perfectly. He knows how to make a dish that hits his palate out of nowhere. So in recreating these dishes and then having the affected person taste them, he can bring back that ghost temporarily. And the ghost and the person can get closure. But it turns out that that's not exactly what's happening. So a lot goes down in this book. Obviously, you're dealing with really hard themes of grief and loss and heartache and heartbreak. But there's also a love story in here, which was so wholly unexpected, and I enjoyed it very thoroughly. At the conclusion of this book, I absolutely bawled my eyes out. Maybe the last 10 pages, 15, I don't really recall. It was through a haze of tears. I absolutely loved it. I gave this 5 stars. It was so not what I expected. I kept thinking, okay, I know where this is going. And then everything would shift. And then I would feel like, okay, I know what's going to happen. And then everything would shift again. And I just enjoyed it so thoroughly. The chapters were compelling. I just couldn't put it down. Once I started it, I could not stop. I loved it. I believe this is also a debut, and I don't think the author has written anything else to this point, but I will be looking out for all of her work. It's Daria Lavelle, I believe. I will be looking for anything that she puts out in the future. This was a sensation for me. You might notice a pattern in this little update. So I finished one, but I bought one too. Elad very kindly took me to Barnes & Noble the other night after Costco. I was looking for a cross-stitch magazine, I swear. But this has been on my list for a very long time. It is Effed Up Fairy Tales by Liz Gotako, I believe. It's been on my list. Like if I see it out, I think it came out last year. If I see it somewhere, I'm gonna grab it. That's the list that I have, okay? And I saw it, and they didn't have the cross-stitch magazine. The summer issue is not out yet. It's supposed to be on shelves 512. I don't know. Talk to your local Barnes & Noble about it. But I did see this Sweet Angel, and so I picked it up. I'm not a lost cause, but like I know who I am, okay? I finished Sharkpedia this morning. I enjoyed it so thoroughly. I think I read this over the course of 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. I don't know. I read it in little like 10, 15-minute chunks before bed, and I really enjoyed it. Now, in the beginning, I was a little overwhelmed and intimidated by the very dense science talk, by the terminology, and I had to look up a lot of words. There's also, like, I didn't know there was such a thing as a crocodile shark, so I'm instantly Googling it. And it just, reading it in little chunks like that actually works for me because I'm the type of person with like 800 tabs open in my Google Chrome. Like, I don't even know the number. It's just a sideways smiley face now because it gave up. I had so much fun looking into terms, new to me sharks. The term benthic, like I think I mentioned that before. That is a term that is stuck with me for life now, okay? I did not know what it meant, and I had to go, the thing is the first thing I Googled about this book, and now benthic will be stuck with me for the rest of my life. I thought it was really fun. While it is dense in the scientific language, you also see the author's personality shine through a bit, and he is quite funny, if a little dry, which I really appreciate. And I love that there was artwork throughout. So this is a breached white shark, and I just thought those little touches were so much fun too. I really enjoyed those. I would get really excited when I would turn the page and there would be an illustration there. There is a lot about shark behavior, obviously, different types of sharks. And I do think I mentioned this is kind of broken up alphabetically in little different subjects. So this is like diversity of sharks, and then there are some pictures here. But there will just be kind of like a topic, and then he'll go into some detail, nothing too long. Like the next section is ecology and ecological roles, ecotourism and how sharks affect that and how it affects sharks. It was just very enlightening on so many different topics and the impacts on things for sharks, and also the impact sharks have on the greater environment and like their specific environments, the environment at large. I really enjoyed it. I'm very glad to have it. I don't know if I would give this a rating. I hate to not give it any kind of stars to bump up a rating, but it's very hard for me to rate something that's nonfiction. But I very much enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it. I think if I give it a star rating, I would just give it 5 stars. It was a really good time. I'm so thrilled to have it. I love learning more about sharks. The crocodile shark, I feel like, is a misnomer, but I'm glad that I know about him now. I also just finished this afternoon. I did heavily listen to this one when I didn't have time to sit with it and listen. I did mostly probably listen to this one on Audible. I already had it. And Teddy Hamilton and Aaron Mallon are so good with these books. This is the final story in the Wait With Me series and our first Fletcher brother, Max. Oh my gosh, I didn't really care about Max, and not in a bad way. Just all of the Fletcher brothers, because I read them first, they kind of give Max a lot of crap about being stuck up and uptight and just like stiff. So I was kind of like, not really interested. Oh my God, I love Max Fletcher. Zaddy, that's where that comes from. Like, I've been to her events and I didn't get the whole Zaddy thing. It's Max. Max is Zaddy. So Max has his daughter. He's a single dad. He and his ex split amicably. But He has his daughter for the whole summer while his ex is filming in Bulgaria. And because he owns his own company, he does need the help of a nanny. He, like his other brother, has a hard time finding what he's looking for, and eventually ends up with Cassandra, aka Cozy, and the connection that she has with his daughter Everly instantly kind of seals their fate. She ends up living on property for this summer-long stint as a nanny, and the tension builds. There's clearly attraction between the two of them. You can guess what happens. I would recommend reading it instead. It was an amazing time. There were ups, there were downs. I was pulled in and out. I know how this is going to end. I've already read the Mountain Men Matchmaker series. I know where these people are in 7 years. I was still like, whoa, what's going to happen? I had a great time. It was really fun. I gave it 4.75 stars because there were some parts that I was like, we could have been more mature. But it was pretty much almost perfect. I had a fantastic time. And now it's time to read Everly's book and let this whole cast of characters, the families, let everybody go. It's going to be very bittersweet, but I'm ready. So highly recommend the whole series. I did not like book 1, but you like kind of got to get through it, you know, to get to everybody else. So I finished a book and then I bought a book and then I finished 2 books and then I bought 2 more books. So I think we started this update at 309 and we are back to 309 today at Target. I did pick up the Daisy Chain Flower Shop by Laurie Gilmore. This is book 6, 12, 100. I don't know, but this series has me in a chokehold. Have I enjoyed all of them? I've really enjoyed a couple of them. The rest have been like, it has me in a chokehold. I can't get away from them. I think I just want to live in this town, kind of. Also, are you ready? Oh my God, look at those sprayed edges. These sprayed edges are done really well. Do any of my other ones have sprayed edges? No. Is this going to match at all? I think it has the cover. Yeah, the little foiling on the cover. That's fine. I'm fine with it. I didn't see a cat on the cover of this one. I see a little puppy. And I feel like every other cover had a cat on it. I could be wrong. Whatever. This is what I picked up. And then my mom recommended really any Carly Fortune. I think she's 3 deep into her Carly Fortune journey, but she did really recommend this one to me. And I thought, fine, I will give it a chance. When will I read it? I don't know. So that's that, you guys. I read 3 books and I bought 3 books. And so we're right back at square one, but it's been a fun week. All right, I'll see you for the next one. Bye. Hi, I think we're on to update number 5, and it's been a couple of weeks since I've updated. I think almost exactly 2 weeks. I was on a bit of a roll, I felt like, with physical TBR books, but I've really dropped off. I've been having a hard time really reading a lot of anything. I've been going pretty slow, and I know I had a couple of advanced copies. There was like a library book that I wanted to finish before it went back. So I've just been very, I don't know, like almost lethargic about reading this month. And I thought I had been doing a little bit more like regular pace, but it seems like I've slowed down. So I have 3 books to show you, but I will say Mom and I are having an adventure day. There's going to be books bought, and probably, I don't think they're going to put me ahead of where I started the month, but they might wipe out any progress I've made this month. But let's go ahead and jump in. I did finish the Daisy Chain Flower Shop by Laurie Gilmore. I loved it. I thought it was so good. I think Daisy and Elliot were really great main characters. There is a puppy. I remember when I mentioned this book at first that I was like, oh, there's no cat on the cover, and there usually are with these, but I loved it. The dog was a really sweet touch. I thought they were a dynamic couple on their own, but then the background of the curse and then her family history coming into play, very good. Really liked it. There is a little bit of fake dating in here, which I cannot deny is one of my favorite tropes. So I really enjoyed this. I think I gave this, hold please. I think I gave this 4.5 stars. I can't find my little note, but I really, really loved it. Next, I wanted some healing fiction, and I wanted something a bit smaller to get that win feeling. So I did finish the Second Chance Convenience Store. What a surprise this was. This was not my typical healing fiction. This was very deep, very heartbreaking, but hopeful, very different than what I expected. You still have a lot of those characters coming in and out of this convenience store. And I think the reason it's called Second Chance Convenience Store is because the owner is giving people second chances to change their life or like have a different impact with their family. Like there's just all these different things going on. And the main story is of her helping this homeless man who collects her lost or misplaced purse. And he finds that it's hers and her information within it, and calls her and says, I found it. I would like to get it back to you. And so that sort of starts off this whole ball rolling of these different stories and different characters that weave in and out. And I like that aspect of this. I have said many times before with a lot of these healing fictions, there's a standard, and that is, every character has like their section, and maybe you'll find that they're intertwined at some point, or they know each other, or they're somehow otherwise connected, but they don't really build off of each other in the way that stories like this and like the Passengers on the Hongkyu line, they're moving in and out of each other's stories. The story is building over time. There's a larger plot kind of involved, even though this book is so character driven. I really love this one too. I think I also gave it 4.5 stars. And finally, I finished Notes on Your Sudden Disappearance. This took me several days just to get a quarter of the way through. And I will say that first quarter, I felt like if I read, he said, mom said, you said, I said, one more time, I was going to lose my mind. It was very annoying. However, once things started moving, they really started moving, I was pulled in. Again, very character driven, not so much plot driven, and a very interesting look at grief, how it impacts families, how it impacts all the different members in a family, and how everyone goes through a different process and at different times, even while grieving the same person. Very good, very poignant. I put this in my Fable review. I don't know what it says about me, but I am currently finding a lot of comfort in books that deal with grief, specifically in ways that I find very realistic for dealing with grief. And this book really fit the bill in that theme as well. So I enjoyed it very much. I think I gave this 4 or 4.25 because the beginning was such a slog. And I've seen people say they DNF'd because of that, but I do think there is good stuff in here if you can get past that. I just think that that section could have been a little shorter. Right now, that puts me at 306. I am reading Bad Boy Era by Amy Daws. I don't physically have it. I got an advanced copy of that. And I also decided to start An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating. Yeah, that's a long title. I'm enjoying it. I think this is going to be very low stakes, kind of silly fun. I think I'll enjoy it overall. So I have this, I have the other rom-com, and then I'm going to need like a horror or something to cleanse my palate after all of this romance and like sweet stuff. So I'm currently at 306. There are only a few days left in the month, 5 days, 6 days, something like that. And I'm not sure how much else I'll finish, but this is probably going to be my last update before the final roundup. I'm trying to walk this fine line and keep the balance of wanting to make progress on my physical TBR and allowing myself the fun and enjoyment of book shopping when it happens, because it's not like I'm going out every day and buying books, but every month, every 6 weeks, every 2 months, something like that. The opportunity arises to go to new places. And when I go book shopping, I don't want to be thinking about my TBR number. I want to be in the moment and excited about books, because that is what it's all about for me, at least. So trying to find that balance currently and trying not to be too hard on myself, but that's where I am, 306. Let's see where we end the month. I think as long as I can be under that 316 that we started the month with, I'll be pretty happy. Otherwise, I'll try not to be too hard on myself. All right, that's all for now. See you in the next one. Bye. The time has come for our final May update. Today is May 31st. I was able to squeeze out a couple more books than I thought I would, one of which I finished during the day today, which is why this video is coming to you on a Monday instead of Sunday. So let me show you what I finished throughout the week. I had started An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating, I think, by the time I did my last update, and I did finish it. I enjoyed it. It wasn't like perfect. I think I gave it 3.75 stars, but it was good. It was cozy and it was unique, but it wasn't a huge standout for me. It was a good time, and I would read more by the author. I absolutely love the cats. This is about a 39-year-old witch. I think she lives in the 17th century, 18th century, and she is having trouble finding love. She is getting older, and 39 at that time is essentially like old maid territory. A spell goes wrong. She finds herself projected like 300 years in the future. I don't know what city this is. I don't know what country we're supposed to be in. It doesn't really say, but her cottage is now this historical monument in the middle of like a city park, and she has to navigate all of the new technology while trying to figure out how to get back home, or maybe just like find a man in this new reality. It was a good time, but like I said, nothing like a huge standout for me, but it was a unique concept, and I'd like to see what else the author does. I've also finished Bad Boy Era. I had an e-arc of this and had a really hard time getting started. I think I was resistant to the end of the series, and I wish I had just started it sooner. It was really good. This is Everly's book, and this is Everly. She is the niece of the Mountain Men in the Mountain Men Matchmaker series, and she's the one who matched them all. Book 4 is her turn. She returns home to Colorado after 4 years at Trinity College in Ireland with her best friend's twin brother in tow. He is trying to rehab his bad boy image as a rugby player. He's basically going to be volunteering at Trista's Animal Rescue while also doing training at this Denver rugby club. Everly is still trying to figure out what she wants to do with herself, and she's also working for Trista's Rescue, trying to get more people interested in visiting the sanctuary, bringing money in, and just like the overall success. So they are working kind of closely together. They're both living on Fletcher Mountain. Like, there's a lot of close proximity, so I mean, you know what's going to happen. It was fantastic. I gave this 4.75 stars. Yeah, I think that's right. I really adored it. My standouts were, this is Rugby here. I don't know if you can see him very well. He's a bearded dragon. They kind of co-parent him. I love bearded dragons, so he was a highlight for me. I could have done with more of him. And then also Stevie, who is Trista and Wyatt's daughter. I think Stevie's like 4 years old. She calls him Nana, and it's just really cute. They're dynamic. So those were standouts for me. I really enjoyed it. Read the whole series. It was so good. Something that was kind of a complete miss for me, and it's so disappointing, is Nightshade and Oak. I just got this. This is by Molly O'Neill. She also wrote Green Teeth, which I loved, but this just, gosh, it was not it for me. I have like a long review on Fable. I can't decide if it's spoilery or not. I put the spoiler flag just in case, but I don't feel like there's too much I can say without giving a lot away. It was disappointing. It was darker than what I was looking for. I thought it was going to be a little, like, Green Teeth is not light and bright and cozy. There are cozy aspects of it, but there is also like serious tension and darkness. This just felt like too dark all of the time. I did like the atmosphere. I did like the relationship with the hounds. Sorry, I didn't say what this is about. This is about the goddess of death who, after like a big battle, is stalking the battlefield for lost souls so she can usher them into the afterlife. A spell goes wrong, turning her human. The witch responsible for casting that spell is like this warrior princess named Bellis. They have to go on a quest together. I put this in my review. The beginning, middle, and end of the book felt like 3 different books. It was incongruous at times, which really brought me out of the story. And I just kept waiting for something to happen at the end, and it didn't happen. And so I just, overall, very disappointed. I'm actually not even going to keep it. I'm going to put this probably in the little free library, unless I have a friend that wants it. Like, it might go to a friend, but I was just so disappointed. I'm sure somebody will love it. There is also a relationship between these 2 women, and because I feel like their characters were so one-dimensional, I just didn't even really feel that. Like, I knew it was coming, obviously, but I didn't feel anything from it. It didn't feel real to me. It didn't feel genuine. Overall, I'm really sorry to say it did not work for me. And finally, I finished this in one sitting today. This is How to Hold Someone in Your Heart by Mizuki Tsujimura. And this follows Lost Souls Meet Under the Full Moon. I didn't even know this existed. I was just perusing in Barnes & Noble. I think it was a book club day. I noticed the spine. The spine is like very, I don't want to say iconic, but because I know what the spine of the other one looks like so much, it really stood out to me. This was so good. I gave this 4.75 stars. Again, finding a lot of comfort in books about grief. This was so good. And all I can say is I really, really, really wish that Mr. Go-Between actually existed. We're back following Ayumi as he helps set up these meetings between living people and the deceased person that they would like to visit with. Sensational, standout. I absolutely loved it. I can see myself rereading the pair of these over and over and over and over again and just finding that same warm, like, comforting feeling. So that's great, right? With those books finished, I would be at 302, but I had a little shopping on my own, and Mom and I had like a double kind of adventure day. So we did do some more book buying, and unfortunately, because I lack self-control, I am actually back up at 316. Between all of the book buying this month and all of the book reading, it's a wash. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. At least it's not over. It's not where I wanted to be, but I did have a really good time, so there's no regrets. As you can see, I have a lot of books to put away and organize, so I'm going to leave this here. 316 is the number we started with. It's the number we are ending the month with. I am committed to making June come in below 316. So until next month, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one very, very soon. Bye.